I think I might have it working. The last several live streams I've tried to do, just not had the speed or the bandwidth. So trying yet another setup. Hopefully I can get it live streams regularly going in the 2025. So do let me know in the chat if you can see and hear this, if there's anyone watching. And it says my connection is unstable or something. We'll see how it goes. Yeah, so if you just let me know. Thanks. Yeah, it's been minus 10 here in Leeds in the UK. Thanks, Pedro. And super cold. So trying to stay warm. And I'm just going to do some practicing and maybe answer some questions if anyone's got any, if anyone's watching. And yeah, just try and keep my fingers from rusting up. I'm going to try and the idea is to sort of loosely structure the streams. So I'll focus one around technique, one around, I don't know, harmony or fretboard visualization or whatever I'm working on. Rasmus. Hey, Rasmus. Excellent. Can you hear the guitar okay? Excellent. So yeah, I think today I was going to do, like I say, just try to revisit some old licks, maybe just do some practicing on that. There's a couple of things that I've discovered recently that I've kind of maybe gone backwards on with the technique. I've definitely not been doing as much practicing as I should have been over the last maybe 12 months. So new year, new me, all those kind of cheesy goals and whatever. So I'm going to try and devote a little bit more time to practicing and just maybe sharing it as well. Hi Luke. Sitting here in sunny New Zealand, I am most jealous of that. Practicing my alt picking. Just wondered if you practice other techniques like this, or focus mainly on legato and hybrid. Yeah, I made a conscious decision actually when I don't know how many people know this if you've not listened to the Guitar Hour podcast, but it was around when I turned 30, so 11, 12 years ago. I had a bit of an existential crisis and I pretty much rebuilt from the ground up. I started relearning the guitar almost from the ground up in terms of my visualization, fretboard knowledge and technique. And it was one of those things where I've realized it was like narrowing the goals, narrowing my focus would probably be beneficial. So yeah, what I decided to do is to kind of just work on a few things. So yeah, hybrid picking, legato was one of them. Fretboard visualization was the other. Changes playing. But because I'm sort of a working professional guitarist, I started to do other things, but I don't really devote that much time to it. Certainly, I kind of found, comfort and real like deep sort of peace and contentment in pursuing specific things. So that's it. Oh, I'd say the only other thing that I do practice is sort of like economy, sort of swing kind of picking, the sort of, for doing the jazz sort of stuff. With the kind of, I spent quite a bit of time with Mike Marino's idea of the economy of motion for doing that sort of thing, going double down and bouncing like mini sweeps and stuff. So I kind of work on that because the one thing that hybrid picking and legato is pretty terrible for really is for kind of swing jazz type stuff. So that's the only other kind of area that I spend a bit of time on. But like alternate picking, yeah, I'm not even gonna. The stuff that I was doing when I was learning like predetermined things, the sort of like Steve Vai, Dream Theater kind of things, that's all I ever really was able to do. I was never able to then take that into and make it flexible for improvising with it. Yeah, it's just. I also think that just minimizing the. I'm not without injuries, so just getting older. So I'm always conscious about like, overexerting myself and things in terms of straining tendons and ligaments and things. So yeah. Ayush Care, just purchased a fretboard visualization course with the solo app. Oh, thank you very much. That's awesome. Thanks. I've just started with it. It's really a game changer. Can we mix up the system with the cage scale and arpeggio shapes? I mean, absolutely. I think one of the things in the course that, with all kinds of, Tom and I in the course are not saying that, that's the only way of doing things. I think it's like a amalgamation of all sorts of things. One of the really nice things about the 2-point system as you go through it is that what you'll find is you can, if you choose to, you can layer it as the foundation, as the substrate for everything else. Or you can like see within your bigger shapes clearly and more quickly the harmonic or intervallic information that you're playing. So if you're using larger 3-note per string shapes, as you play through them, if I just play through a G, major 3-note per string, back when I first learnt that, it was, I knew the start point and the end point and everything else in between. If you stop me at any point, what's that note? It would be like, I'd have to kind of work it out. One of the things about the 2-point system and thinking intervallically with this is that, well, I know that if I know all my root notes are, then that's the second, it's an A, or it's a second. So you can see within the larger shapes and the cage system, if you like, as well. Although the cage system kind of splits the difference. You can see more quickly, I think, to get to those answers. So all these things sort of work together. But for me, when I don't know when you joined Ayush, but I was kind of, what I personally decided to do was to sort of start sort of 10, 12 years ago from the very bottom and sort of learning root notes, learning my major scales, abstract, separated away from any large shapes, and then start to layer on the intervals system on top of that. So all of these things can work together, I think. Luke saying, I know what you mean regarding time to practice. I have a full-time job and I've decided I just don't have the time to become a good improviser. I have to stick to predetermined stuff. I think that depends on what, like, how you're defining what good is. I mean, as long as you enjoy what you're doing. I mean, if you don't like what you're playing, if you're always kind of not enjoying what you're playing, then I guess that's one way of defining it. But for me, it was very much about like trying to take pleasure in really simple things. So again, my idea of simple might be different to yours, but I think like when I started to like map like harmony and like intervals through chord changes, I'd find like great pleasure in that, and just being really simply just improvising through you know, simply just finding thirds and sevenths, for example, through standards and stuff, and improvising with just 2 intervals. That's the kind of thing for me that was like, I just learned to wire my brain to find and take pleasure from that. And if I'm never good at it, that's, you know, it's not really the main thing. If I'm happy and enjoying doing it, that's the main thing. Regards to like shredding, there probably is like a physical factor. I honestly don't know enough about this to talk about it comfortably, just my own anecdotal experience. When I did learn to, you know, shred, if you like, with brute force in my teens, in terms of learning predetermined, like, you know, instrumental guitar stuff, but I never, you know, I was never really particularly very good at improvising with it. Until I did my rebuild in my early 30s. So I didn't really develop what I consider to be like my good technique, or, you know, the way that I play now on a good day, until I was in my early 30s. So yeah, maybe that was still young enough to develop it. I don't know if there's like maybe I'm going to start to feel that in the next few years in my 40s as I approach 50. But the nice thing about improvising, and the nice thing about focusing on that, though, is that as the technique starts to decline, hopefully I'll have enough sort of desire and enjoyment from just finding, as I was saying, just finding enjoyment in like simple things, and like, or challenging things that are mentally challenging and or harmonically challenging. So there's that to consider. Mohit, loving the course, still confused if I should switch to fourths tuning. That old chestnut. On standard tuning there is a lot to remember. Also, could you give some tips on following chords of a song while jamming? Thanks very much for getting the course, Mohit. Glad you're enjoying it. And the tune, I mean, that's one of the interesting things actually, is that Tom and I splitting the teaching in that. Like, he's in fourths tuning and I'm in standard tuning. The course is, it doesn't really matter which what you tuned in for the course. It's very much, I'm teaching all of this sort of 2-point interval shapes in standard tuning. When you say there's a lot to remember, there is, but if you follow the course, I don't know how far through it you are, but the way in which I spent a lot of time when I was developing my side to this system, I spent a lot of time sort of cataloguing it in such a way as my brain is still only really thinking of the same 48 or 50 shapes that Tom is doing. It's just that in the practice method, in the practice drills that we go through and I go through and teach, you organically build in the additional ones. You know, I think there's like, if you add in the additional ones for the compensation with the tuning, it triples it. But really, my mind is not thinking of all those additional ones. It's just, okay, well, now I'm compensating, or I'm going to the third but I'm compensating, or I'm going down to the sixth but I'm compensating. And the way that the practice drills cover that as you go through it, I think is an organic way of doing it. And it's the way that I practiced it and developed it and learned to do it relatively quickly, as I say, as an adult, you know, in my 30s. So yeah, as for tips on following chords of a song while jamming, yeah, that's a really good question actually, and it's one that I think many people could, like, I think a really good thing to do is if you can play with another person. That was extremely pivotal for me, like maybe sort of 9-10 years ago when I started playing and jamming with other guitar players, because it forced me to just keep up. So no backing track, and having to follow either a chart, or if it's in my head, to be able to follow along just, you know, and listen. As for whilst you're jamming, just if you can maybe sort of take a solo or outline the chord changes if that's what you're doing, whilst the backing's not there as well, maybe with a metronome on. That's a really good way, I think, of starting to try and make sure you're on top of the actual chords as it's going. Hey Erasmus, yeah, I remember that. That was good fun. Yeah, a long time ago, 2020 now, I'm in the before times. I enjoyed it too. Yeah, take care, man, and good time. Oh, did you say you're going this year or not? Yeah, Denmark. Yes, I do, Ayush. I do private lessons. I've not been doing so much lately, but if you send me an email through my website or a message on Instagram, and yeah, maybe we could work something out. So there's this one that I did a lesson on this a little while ago. I filmed it and then never posted it, or I accidentally posted it without a description in the thumbnail, so I pulled it. But I think I might post it tomorrow actually. Now I found it again, and it's this lick that I was doing. It comes from an old YouTube short or Instagram reel a while back. but I've really sort of slipped back on this. It's real roast. So I've been remapping it slightly. Let's see if I can. Oh, that's 80, that's all pretty quick. Luke, do you have any plans to continue with the Pathways series? Yes and no. Well, I'm glad you found them useful. I'm definitely going to be doing new courses, but I'm kind of going to be changing it ever so slightly. So those Pathways will they'll be retired. So volume 1 and 2, I'll be refilming some of that similar stuff, but instead of being so narrowly focused towards sort of jazz and fusion in the way that I was sort of describing it, it's going to be a bit more broad spectrum, and I'm going to kind of make it a little bit more digestible. So yes, I'm going to be doing all the stuff that I was intending for volume 3 is going to be coming at some point as I do it, but I'm revamping my website currently at the moment and changing the way in which I distribute and do the course, my own tutorial stuff. So I have got plans for it. When it's going to happen with all the other stuff that goes going on is, I don't know. I'm hoping to get down to it this year. This came out earlier. Something. time for whiskey. So these are a couple of Christmas presents. So I've not really got massively into Japanese whiskey yet, but this might be the gateway. This is Yamazaki Distillers Reserve, which I'm enjoying. What backing tracks am I using? The first backing track I was using, Luke, was called Antimatter, which is from an old Hal Leonard book, I think, by a guy, Chris Amalar. What's his name? Let me just get his correct name. It's really cool. It gives the sort of Steve Vai's animal vibes to it with Tudorian things. It is, yeah, Chris Amalar, yeah. You can just search Antimatter on YouTube and find it. And then that one just was one of my own backing tracks that I did, sort of a Mayer style kind of rip-off. Yeah. So, cheers, Happy New Year, everyone. A little bit late now, but it's my first live. Well, I've tried a few, and I've tried the Centauri stuff and never really dug it. In fact, outside of single malts and American whiskies, I've not really got into it. But this is the first one that's really quite tasty. So yeah, Yamazaki Distillers Reserve from Centauri. So it's much more like a Speyside type whiskey than a peaty one. But yeah, I recommend it. I also have here another Christmas present. So this is Kilhummen, which is one of the more recent. Tom got me this actually for Christmas. One of the more recent distillers on Islay. So PT, another PT one. I think Kilhummen are about 20 years old distiller. Make amazing stuff. This is their Cool Point, non-chill filtered, no colour added. Yeah, really nice. Yeah, so the point of what I was trying to do last year and never got around to it because of the internet issues was to do a weekly jams and drams, so jams and drams stream, where I, do a bit of practice, answer some questions or have a chat, whatever, hang. And just have a bit of a kick back with a whiskey, and because it's combining my two passions in life, so guitar playing and nice whiskey. Pedro, so that's the secret for no, because first of all I don't have fantastic phrasing, and this probably just makes it worse, or it's one of those points where a little tiny bit of whiskey might make it better, and then any more than that it'll get really, really bad again. But I try to never get drunk on whiskey. It's one of those things, too old to get drunk these days anyway. It's can't recover like I could as a kid. But it's one of those things where I never want to spoil it. I never want to be so ill with whiskey that then I don't enjoy drinking it. So it's not about getting buzzed or drunk on this. It's just through lockdown, myself, my wife, and a couple of friends, we got really into whiskies, and as probably many people did, and just acquired a bit of a palate for it. So been at a few trips to Islay and where they make it, so do the tours. So yeah, really into it. So it's my other sort of big passion, and so yeah, whiskey YouTube and guitar YouTube colliding. Any of you guys got a favourite? If any of you in the chat drink whiskey, have you got any favourites? My intention is, if there's any other friends, peers, whatever, guitar players that are into it as well, to maybe get some guests on and on the stream and yeah, chew the fat over whiskey and guitar. Maybe at some point. Tones today, if anyone's interested, I'm using it's the Quad Cortex with capture of that amp, that bad boy. So this is the B50 in the mid-gain structure. It's really quite clean, actually. So I think it surprises people, but it's just a really gorgeous, sustaining kind of sound. That's a capture with the gain on 6 and the fat switch on in the mid structure position. Justin, hi mate, how's it going? You're currently enjoying some Hibiki blended whiskey Suntory. Oh, very good, yeah, fantastic. Yeah, yes, thanks. I hope you had a good Christmas and New Year too. Yep, relaxing jazzy Sundays. Hey Jason, how's it going, man? Favourite spam? I don't think I've ever had it. Sadly, I get too much of the digital variety. What do they call that? Bacon? That's more what you get. Bacon mail, where it's not really spam, but it's totally like you don't want it in your inbox. How you doing, Jason? I'm glad you're enjoying those Morgan captures. I'll have to send you the rest of them if you want. I think I've got you on the Cortex Cloud. I'll send you all the rest of the captures. Yeah, they're great. So you can't see it, but I've got the Morgan right just down there next to the Friedman. And yeah, I finished over Christmas. I did a full capture suite of that for the Quad and Nano Cortex. Yeah, really nice to play that as well. Luke, yeah. Ugadal. That's the desert island whiskey for me. I think it's absolutely, yeah. Could only take one to the desert island. talking to John about getting a Morningstar MC6 to team up with a Nano to unlock more preset accessibility. Okay, I see what you're saying. How much is one of those? It might be cheaper for you over there. Yeah, I'm just thinking, how much more flexibility would you get with like axe turning effects on and off? Can you do that? I know the MIDI implementation is a little sparse. Would it just be for presets? Would you? Oh, 349. Okay. Are you using it on a board with other effects already? So is the Nano for you like going into a bigger pedal board? Justin, no, it's the Quad Cortex. Exactly, you're right, Justin. So, although I am quite kind of lucky in that this is a separate building, in that I can live kind of in the countryside, so I can turn it up. But just for my ears, and it is quite late now. I've got a capture of that exact amp on my Quad Cortex. I guess if you're already using you've already got a big pedal board and you're adding into that, that's probably like a mental space I could imagine myself being in. But for me, that in my case purposes, that would defeat the whole object. What I really want the Nano for is just to be just the Nano and self-contained. But I totally get why people are doing what you're doing. It's a really cool use case. But for me, I really like the idea of just having the Nano and one expression pedal. That would be, if they could expand its capabilities to just have like a compressor block or a drive block, maybe a little bit more, maybe a tap tempo somehow on one of the buttons, then yeah, that could be like the actual perfect backup rig / travel rig sort of for me. Yeah, Justin, Quad Cortex is cool. I think it has a lot of limitations still and a lot of frustrations. I think Neural DSP, I kind of have a love-hate thing with them. I mean, this sounds and feels great. It's capturing the amp. There are just some odd quirks about what they do that sort of can be a little bit annoying. But it's a really good value proposition, I guess, in terms of it being around £1,200, and it does a lot, captures, effects, etc. But there's so many other options, of course. You really would have to dig in and check out some other people's thoughts. I'm a huge fan. You can just see it ticking away down there of the Fractal stuff. That's probably my favourite. If I had to only choose one digital device, it'd probably be the FM3 or the Fractal stuff. Yes, Luke. That's what I'm doing. Still using the Fractal. think I am going to have to remap it to this. But I'm starting either before the beat or just after the beat, so I need to be able to make sure it's both work. So after the beat. Before the beat. Yeah. Might have to rewind, take this back to the drawing board. It's about 3 months ago when I filmed the lesson on it. Sorry to hear about your brother's surgery. Hope he's okay. Yeah, nano, a couple of pedals and headphones. Sounds like a plan. Thanks for asking, Luke. Yeah, it's not that it's improved, but it's hopefully stable. So I had an MRI, well, it was a year ago, and it's taken me a year to get seen by the specialist. So I finally got seen, well, there's a couple of appointments, but the most recent one, saw the scans and talked through the options, and hopefully I'm just going to see if I can manage it. I'm not, I've had 3 or 4 different flare-ups of this joint or this disc problem in my neck over the last 8-9 years. So until it occurs much more frequently, then they're advising me to not have the surgery to repair it or to try and do it. Because if I, this was the first time I had this explained to me, but actually having the surgery can then weaken the discs above and below where you've had it, and then it's like a domino effect. So having that too young is not a good idea. But no pain at the moment, and I'm trying to be good posture, trying to be as relatively as healthy as I can with it. And I've got a lot of physio stuff I'm doing, so every day now do like core exercises for all the muscles in the middle of my back, under my shoulders and stuff, to try and support everything. So apparently if I can get fitter and stronger in those kind of areas, it will help support where I've got the issues. It's one of those things where it doesn't bother me for months or years, and then when it hits, when it flares up, when it happens, when the problem occurs, it is excruciating pain for months, or weeks to months, where I can't sleep, nothing stops it. So yeah, and then I can wake up one morning and it's gone, and then I don't have any issue for months or even years. So yeah, very, very frustrating. But it's just the body, yeah, aging. Thanks, Herb. Appreciate that. Let's try the Kill Human. Hi Bucket, thanks, nice to have you here. You say you're probably the worst intermediate guitar player in the world. I wouldn't. That is all relative and in the eye of the beholder. So good, bad, worst, best. It's kind of, we should try to aim for that bit of being irrelevant, and do we enjoy it? What kind of stuff do you play, Bucket? This is Kilhuman Cool Point. Well, I'm probably pronouncing that second part wrong. Jason, you think they'll ever get to where they're allowed people to share presets? You know what? I think that's a very intentional choice for them to not do it. I was frustrated when I first realized I couldn't share presets, but I don't think the kind of workflow of how you use the Nano doesn't seem to me like presets is necessarily the right way to go about it. It's more about you just building, you load your captures into the banks and you build things on the fly, and then you just toggle between the two or the four sounds. Yeah, presets seem to be, it's not the best implementation necessarily, but once I kind of forgot the idea of really using presets on the Nano and just about loading captures and my few favorite cabs and delay sounds, then it kind of made a bit more sense to me. So I don't know if they're ever going to do that and go that route. I think it's intentionally to just stop you doing it. What exercises have you done for your neck? Well, I don't want to really talk about that because I'm not a professional. It's just some basic back strengthening stuff from the physio, using a foam roller and stretching bands and things to try and strengthen that part of my core at the back there. Hi Bill, you're here for music, not alcoholism. Interesting comment. I'm recording my album at the moment. Oh, cool. Using a lot of the IK Multimedia Joe Satriani Vault captures. Nice. They are amazing. Absolutely amazing. In fact, I did a video with demonstrating some of that stuff. Really good stuff. You have Jeff Tyson, who's a Satch graduate, along with Dan Reed appearing on the art. Oh, very cool. Some nice name drop in there. That's great. Well, good luck with all the album stuff, and send me a link somewhere when you're all done with it, and check it out. Bucket made the mistake of never learning to count musical proper theory, so I've always just noodled, but I'm really starting to understand and just play. Yeah, as long as you enjoy it, you know, and it's never too late to kind of go back and learn. It's definitely, you know, I've forever kind of taken, you know, 2 steps forward, 1 step back, and then recovering things I've done in the past. The story of my musical life is one of taking a long time to get there. Thanks, Bucket. This is my custom Fibonacci Super Strat HSS. A whole lot of blingy flame on this bad boy. Yeah, this is my BB model of the Roadmaster FB. Thanks, Jason. Yeah, enjoy the rest of your weekend, mate. Great to see you here. Yeah, this is Quad Cortex for this. It's actually the capture of this actual amp that I've done. I've not used any of the head rush stuff. Oh, that's a lie. No, I've used one of the head rush one of the first head rushes from 2018 or maybe before. I've not really checked out much or know much about the prime stuff. Let me know how it goes with it. Getting there. I just need to practice. Amazing how it actually works. So I love it. Not some of the tones have an obvious latency, which isn't ideal, but everything else. Yeah, latency, that's such a... I thought we were kind of at the point where that now shouldn't really be an issue. So you think there's latency in the device itself or when you're using it as an interface? Bucket. Guitar Talk Universe, nice playing. Thank you very much. Just practicing, trying to get stop the fingers from freezing up. It's been like -10 degrees here over the last week or so. Herb, what are your thoughts on the amount of social media guitarists who are clearly not playing the stuff all their followers think is real? That's wading into controversial topics there, Herb. Well, I think ultimately, if that is the case, if that is happening, as well, I'm sure it is in some instances, then it's probably doing nobody any good, is it? Like the whole kettle of fish, or can of worms as to what is real these days. Personally, for myself, I just think that it's just going to end up probably causing issues down the line if you have to perform live, or I've definitely seen people play live at various places, social media, air quotes, guitar players, and it's quite stark. It can be quite a stark difference. But then there are for all of us, like I'm just sitting here now and I'm clearly just practicing and I'm making mistakes and all sorts, but and that's going to be different to the posts that I put, on Instagram, or hopefully it's not too different. But still, it's like you're putting your makeup on it and you're putting your best foot forward. You're kind of curating to an extent. But maybe what you're talking about is like faking it and editing stuff, which I can hand on heart say I've never ever done. Because again, just to me, it's like completely defeats the object, because I just wouldn't be happy. For me, it's like it's so much more pleasurable to know I've done something as well as I can and enjoy the process. Rather than just kind of get the immediate rush and reward of somebody thinking I'm doing something great when I'm not enjoying it or I'm not feeling great about it. That's probably the worst thing, is even if I can't imagine growing like an audience of like, hundreds of thousands of followers and things, and then spending my entire time like doing millions of takes and or editing or faking things. Like, if that stuff goes on, then that's kind of sad, I think, probably, ultimately. Anyway. Basil Tiffany, that's a great name. Yes, it is whiskey. This is Kilhuman, Christmas present that I've cracked. One of the things, going back to what I was asking about the being real or faked and things, one of the things I've tried to do in my YouTube videos in the back end of last year, and is a thing I want to do going forwards, continue, is to always record my first take and post it at the end of the video. So this is kind of like, I think, for my own mental happiness, splitting the difference. So the process for when I'm recording an intro to a video, a piece of gear or lesson or whatever, and I'm doing an improvised jam, is I will warm up for a little bit, and then I'll do like, I give myself like I'll set myself a limit, so between sort of 5 and 10 takes. And then usually if I'm choosing like, take 6 or 7 or 8 or whatever, there'll be a few ideas that start to coalesce into something that's semi kind of, slightly less improvised than the very first one. And I don't have any problem with that. I'm still kind of consider that to be improvised. But what I like to do for my own curation and development is to just always take that first take anyway, and just stick it at the end of the video. That's generally what's been happening, and I'm kind of enjoying that. And I bleed in some of the camera audio as well, so you can hear what's actually going on in the room, and like as I experienced that first initial take. So I'm enjoying that part of it, because I feel like I then get like something that's a little bit slightly polished with my makeup on, but still improvised as my opening playing, and then at the end of the video, the sort of very rough, raw, rough and raw. Am I writing or recording any original music? Only for my videos, really. I think I'm talking to some people about starting a project, an originals project, or some kind of creative project, live project this year, where there may be some original stuff creep in. One of my New Year's resolutions or goals is to actually start playing live more with creative original works, original projects, as opposed to doing the session hired function kind of corporate thing as much. So maybe that'll happen. But yeah, I'm writing stuff all the time and making intro jams and playing for videos and things. Jake Hurley, is that a Wilkinson trem? No, this is a Fibonacci trem. So Fibonacci, is that going to focus? Don't think it is. So this is my Fibonacci FB Roadmaster. The Hungarian company, the boutique luthier that hand make the entire guitar, other than the tuners. So everything on the guitar is handmade by the guys in Budapest in the Fibonacci workshop. So this is their own 2-point floating trem that they make. They machine it, all the hardware, all the metal work in the workshop in Budapest. It's a fantastic trem. So yeah, it's really stable and feels very nice. It's great. They also do a 6-screw vintage style one as well. The Friedman is a B50, and I got that for a ridiculously cheap price off a forum in the UK. So it's used but immaculate condition for like a third of the price new, including the 2x12 cab as well. So I couldn't say no to that. And the Friedman stuff really is the dream amp. The really amazing thing about the BE50 is that it's got the classic sort of brown eye and hairy brown eye tones, but the BE50 also has a clean channel that is phenomenal. Maybe I'll do a stream where I actually plug it in and give you some room sound at some point so you can hear it, the actual amp. This is the capture on the quad cortex of it. But the clean channel is based on Friedman's now discontinued Buxom Betty, which is was or is a phenomenal clean channel. So this amp is almost the perfect amp, channel switching amp. There's no compromise that you get drive tones and lead tones that are, best of whatever, the kind of Marshall kind of style, but then also a clean channel that is much more reminiscent of the kind of, like a cross between like in middle of the Atlantic. It's not quite a British clean, it's not quite an American clean, but it's beautiful, yeah. Hey Joseph, how's it going, my friend? Yeah, so I mean, if you can, they're expensive amps, but it really is like the dream amp in a way, because there's no, like I say, there's no compromise. Normally with channel switching amps, especially of the Marshall variety, certainly Marshalls, like clean channels are not, it's non-existent. And even on like some of the other Friedmans, I think, the clean channels was good. I think, yeah, this really does take the biscuit. Like I say, I'll try and get a stream done where I'm actually using camera mics or room mics and crank it up. How you doing, Joseph? A Dr. Z80. I actually don't know that amp, but I do know Dr. Z's and played some of the models. Congratulations. What kind of amp is that? What kind of drive or gain range do you get? Oh, right, Vox type. Nice. Jake, no, that's something that I wouldn't ever do because I learnt from Tom, and you know, unless I had something different to offer at some point, then I think stepping on that toes wouldn't be kind of right. Certainly because we're good friends. So yeah, I think that's something that it is the gold standard for learning that kind of thing. So check out Tom's stuff. Yeah, so one of the things that I find really interesting about, one of the things I find super interesting about this style though, is that it sort of, it's just a couple of things to mention, is that for me it really opened up the ability to improvise with a sort of a higher level of technique. So when I was learning kind of to shred as a teenager, everything was just brute force and as fast as I can, and kind of learning either predetermined things or anchoring the index finger all the time. And so, yeah, in my early 30s, when I was sort of re-engineering and relearning, a new kind of sound, kind of Tom's kind of style, Greg Howe, the Alan Hines, that kind of more in-time kind of based legato. It just relaxed everything, and all the tension sort of went away, and it sort of allowed me to think a lot more clearly and sort of be more intentional with the phrasing and things, and just have a lot more control and intentionality over rhythm and stuff. So yeah, it's really a really sort of pivotal, useful change in my playing as an adult, and it was not something that it's not something that I was doing in my teens or my 20s. This was something very much that I started working on as older as an adult. So I'm kind of like a guinea pig in some way, sense, or like proof of the process that kind of you can make big strides and changes as an adult with your technique if you kind of have the time to put the work in and kind of really discipline yourself. Don't worry about the tuning element. So everything that, as far as I'm aware, as far as I can remember, all the tom stuff is taught in fourths tuning, but it doesn't matter. He adjusts and compensates that, and everything that you do can be done in standard. It actually ends up being one of the reasons I never switched, because it actually does lend itself to some kind of differences in kinds of language and sort of things that you can and can't play, and the kinds of things, or the difficulty of certain things. So yeah, don't worry about the tuning aspect of it. I'm in standard tuning, always have been, and have learnt to do the kind of legato stuff with standard tuning. I know lots of people have. Joseph in the chat's also an incredible legato player, and I think he's in standard tuning. I think he is. Maybe you can confirm that if he's still around. Yeah, so there's a lot of guys that have, you know, learnt to play that kind of in time kind of sound legato with standard tuning. Right, I think I'm going to start winding down now, because I've thankfully successfully tested the internet's now working. So I'm going to hope to try and do one of these every week, every Sunday. So this week was just a bit of a random test and some technique sort of stuff. So maybe next week I'll look at some visualization or some jazz improvising, that kind of thing. So, or if anyone's got any suggestions or what you'd like me to cover in these kind of streams, totally down for your thoughts. Let me know. Yeah, totally. I just want to get back to doing some live streams, practicing, showing my working out, and yeah, having a chat. Thanks so much for watching, everyone. Enjoy the remainder of your weekend. I hope you're safe and well wherever you are. Got world weather extremes at the moment, haven't we? And a lot of crazy, scary stuff going on. So stay safe, everyone, and yeah, see you again soon.